Hello, welcome to my review of 1968's Once Upon a Time in the West. I recently reviewed The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is another Sergio Leone film, and both of them fall into the category of spaghetti westerns because they're basically westerns created by Italians, thus spaghetti western. And I think that all of the problems that I see with Leone's films are present here. So I didn't like The Good and the Bad and the Ugly because it was too long, there were too many close-ups, and the the style of the camera work was excessive, I would say. And I think while this is more restrained than in The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, there are still problems with pacing. Like, there's a scene where one of the bad guys is being bothered by a fly because the fly is buzzing around him. So he captures the fly in the barrel of his gun and he is listening to the fly. And is that scene goes on for like 10 minutes like that. And it's interesting, but it doesn't do anything to show you the character of the man or contribute to anything connected to the film. So there's also the problem that you have Henry Fonda playing the main bad guy, Frank, and you have Charles Bronson playing Harmonica, who's kind of the main good guy, and then you have another guy named Cheyenne, who's played by another American actor called Jason Robards. So you have the main characters played by Americans, but then you have the love interest Jill, who is played by uh, Claudia Cardinale, and she's really beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but she's saying her lines in Italian, so she's dubbed, and then the main actors who are interacting with her are not dubbed. And there's lots of minor characters who are also dubbed. And oh my god, is that so annoying? It really breaks the suspension of disbelief when you see like actors' mouths moving naturally and actors' mouths moving unnaturally. And you realize that of course the sound in the film are not they need to be synced anyway, but there's a difference between syncing the sound when somebody is speaking English and syncing the sound when somebody is speaking Italian, for example. So I always have a problem with that. I don't like it. And I kind of got the gist of. So I started watching it and I was like, oh, this is going to be rough because I don't like. Yeah, this is going to be rough because I don't like Leone films, but it was so hard to figure out what the actual plot was. Like I read the Wikipedia summary before I started this review to just clarify some things, and there's like one thing that doesn't make any sense. So, Jill, the former prostitute who apparently was working in Louisiana and in New Orleans. She's working in New Orleans, and this is where McBain meets her, and they get married. So, and that's actually a brutal part of this film. Is like, so McBain is a farmer, his wife has died, and he's getting married to this other woman, Jill, and Jill is on her way to by train to meet McBain and his family. But McBain and his family get brutally murdered because he owns this property that the bad guys in the film want. So, Jill is legally married to McBain. So, she is the one who inherits this property. And she realizes that McBain's plan was to have a station at this property, which makes complete sense. I mean, maybe not complete sense. It took a while to figure that out for me. And plots don't need to be like A to B to C to be understandable in film. They just need to be understandable. And I think that there was one kind of really glaring thing that didn't make any sense for me, and maybe I just missed something, but I read, as I said, the Wikipedia summary, and I still don't get it, which is why the why on earth did Jill have to auction the property? Because then there's this auction, right? For some random reason, Jill has to auction the property, and then Frank's goons come and like try to drive the price down, and a harmonica comes and he pays $5,000 for the property. So that doesn't make any sense. And then in the end of the film, harmonica leaves, right? Because Cheyenne and Jill had kind of a thing, and like there's a scene where it's a bit rapey between harmonica and Jill, but it turns out that he's there to protect her, so that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but Cheyenne is a wanted man, so he can't be with her, and harmonica can't be with her. But harmonica actually owns the land, but he goes off and leaves Jill building the station. So how did that work exactly? It doesn't make any sense. So I think that Sergio Leone is one of the most overrated directors in cinema history, because I think that he has this reputation, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think he has this reputation because of Quentin Tarantino, and Quentin Tarantino really supporting him. And it's really weird because Quentin Tarantino is kind of like the opposite of Sergio Leone. He is there's pacing to his films, and Leone's films don't have any pacing. And it's kind of funny because I watched recently, like I say recently, about an hour ago, I watched Dune, the 1984 version, directed by David Lynch. And that movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it didn't really feel like it because something is always happening. Something weird is happening, you know. So just because a movie is long doesn't mean that it necessarily has bad pacing, you know. So, but Sergio Leone films do have bad pacing. And I hope I don't have to watch any more of his films because I really don't like them. All right, what do you think? Am I wrong about Leone's films? Let me know in the comment section. Bye bye.